How old were you when you realised what your dad did for a living? So I know obviously he would have done it, pretty much when you were born. But like, what
I'm
age were you when you
probably,
understood
yeah.
it?
Well, I grew up with my grandparents and my mother, and they would bring me out when my dad was on TV. And we lived in the suburbs of Seattle, and he'd come on, and it was Texas Championship Wrestling, and these, they sent it out all over the country in the US. And so Texas Championship Wrestling was the first nationwide wrestling was on television, and Johnny Valentine was on there all the time. So they say, Greg, your dad's on TV, and I go watch him. So
Did your dad discourage you from getting into the business? Because we hear that quite a lot with wrestling families.
he flew me down. I think I told the story yesterday that he flew me in, and I went on the road with him, and I wasn't even thinking about being a wrestler. I used to laugh at that Portland wrestling, but I watched my dad and I watched him wrestle, and I go, "Oh my God!" But then I got hooked, and I knew I could do this. This was my calling, but maybe I didn't know 100% I could do it, but I knew I wanted to do it, and so he hooked me up.
Mm. Do you remember your first ever payoff?
Yeah, $50, I think.
Mm.
$50.
Hey, that's not
And
bad,
it
that.
stayed that way, $50 a night, and 3 nights a week or something.
do you
Brutal.
do you remember the first, like, at the time, mega superstar that you were in the ring with, apart from your dad? Because I'm sure you tagged with your dad early. But do you remember the first superstar, like in a singles match that you wrestled, that you got really intimidated by the name?
Angelo Mosca,
Yes.
King Kong Mosca, uh, an ultimate football player, played for the Hamilton Tiger Cats over here in Canada or up in Canada.
Mm.
He's in the Hall of Fame. He looked like a gorilla. Nice guy though, and I wrestled him.
Mm.
Didn't last too long.
Do
I
you-
gave it. I just was learning how to do arm drags, so I gave him some arm drags, and then he squished me.
Hey, that's another good question, though. What did your training consist of? Because obviously these days, you've got hermetically sealed, brand new multi-million-dollar facilities, in WWE's case at least. What was your training consisting of?
Uh, Now you know what? I learned all my stuff. I didn't work out in the gym much with in the ring with other guys. I learned. I would show up and I'd wrestle somebody and I'd get paid for it, and that's how I started out with Stu Hart, and also then I went and wrestled in Detroit, Michigan for the Sheik, the original Sheik, and ride with Bobo Brazil and what's his name, Haystack Calhoun, and wrestle somebody that night, and it was all ad lib for me. You
Hmm.
understand ad lib?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
just went in there and and a lot of it was memory of watching my dad for 6 months, studying what he did, and I just emulated it, not copied it, and emulated it, but it just evolved, and nobody really taught me too much.
Mm.
Taught me Stu Hart pushed me around a little bit, and that was it. I didn't do high spots. Maybe it wouldn't be. I call them one spots. I might do one thing, boom, and then it's back to grabbing a hold and wrestling.
Mm.
Ground pound.